is the best day of them all. Because while an announcement is the hope, groundbreaking or a beam placing is the progress, today the ribbon cutting is the reality.
Bullitt County now home to its first inpatient hospital. UofL Health South opened this morning. The $78 million hospital includes 40 inpatient beds with shelf space for an additional 20. The new hospital fills an access gap in Kentucky's 10th most populous county, allowing local patients to get their care closer to home. Bullitt County was previously the largest county without an inpatient hospital. Well, UofL Health said back in 2020, more than 25,000 patients came to the UofL South emergency room in Bullitt County, but because the facility didn't have inpatient beds, more than 2,000 had to be transferred to surrounding counties. They're hoping this new hospital will help prevent this in the future.
Access remains a huge issue in delivering health care, and proximity is a significant factor. When it takes you longer to drive to an appointment, some people just don't go. So, by having this hospital in one of the fastest growing areas in Kentucky, we are able to reduce that barrier to care. Quality care also goes up when you're closer to home.
UofL South Hospital will also expand its emergency room, increase surgical and outpatient capabilities, and add more primary and specialized care. The Harrison County Sheriff said a local hip-hop artist was followed and killed in an ambush outside the Caesars Southern Indiana Casino over the weekend. Sheriff Nick Smith said Lilon Williams, who performed under the name Young Block, was at a concert here in Louisville Saturday night and then drove over to Indiana with his family. Police said they were followed to that casino by a car that remained parked there for 3 hours. The suspects only got out of that car when Lilon came out of the casino and was met by a barrage of gunfire in the upper deck of the parking garage.
Two masked and gloved suspects bearing rifles exited that dark-colored passenger car. They approached Mr. Williams and he tried to flee on foot. They cornered him and they shot him down in that parking lot.
Well, the sheriff said police are looking for two suspects who took off in his car based off of what they saw in surveillance video. So if you see a 2013 black and silver Dodge Charger, you are asked to call police. Williams was a husband and father to a 6-year-old girl. Police said this is the first murder to happen at Caesars Casino in its more than 25-year history.
You can run, girl, but you can't hide. And now she's got to answer to all the bad things she's done in her life.
He is the man who found Cairo Jordan's body stuffed inside of a suitcase and stashed away in a wooded area of Washington County, Indiana. It's been on Jeff Meredith's mind for the last 2 years, now waiting for the justice that the 5-year-old boy deserves. This evening, you'll hear what he had to say as he learned of the arrest of Cairo's mother. And today, Dejon Anderson is waiting extradition back to southern Indiana. Police outside Los Angeles arrested the 38-year-old Thursday night. She's being held without bond, and our Connor Steffen and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie traveled back to Salem, Indiana, where the memory of Cairo Jordan is still strong.
In a Salem, Indiana cemetery, the grave of a little boy, garnished in flowers and mementos, stands more peaceful than the night before.
Finally got closure for the little guy.
With an arrest made thousands of miles away.
That's not the way. Anyway, that's never the way.
Making ripples right here in this small town.
It's a good feeling, you know, that they finally got her behind bars.
After a nearly 2-year manhunt.
Still a sorrowful and a somber moment in the investigation.
Police have finally tracked down and arrested Dejon Anderson, who police say killed her 5-year-old son, Cairo Amar Jordan. The boy who caught the nation's attention after a mushroom hunter discovered his lifeless body stuffed inside this suitcase in the spring of 2022.
I was just in Vegas a while before that and seeing those suitcases out there for sale, you know? And I'm like, oh man, and I shoved a child in there.
ISP Sergeant Kerry Holes says officers apprehended Anderson in the LA suburb of Arcadia, California, Wednesday night, based on a tip they received earlier in the week.
A huge milestone, a day that we're very happy that we've come to at this point. It's still a somber day, but we're very, very pleased and happy that we have who we believe everybody to be involved in this tragic murder case in custody at this time.
She is charged with murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, and obstruction of justice. All felony charges in connection with the death of her 5-year-old son, who a coroner ruled at the time died from an electrolyte imbalance. What does that mean to you?
Closure. Closure for him, the family, and everybody in this community.
ISP officers are on their way to California to bring back to Indiana as we speak. It's an arrest 2 years in the making for this town. From a little boy without a name to a gentle face that crosses the minds of Salem residents all the time.
Daily. They think about him all the time. They visit this grave at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Just an innocent child, just abused, I'd say. And I just couldn't believe that I heard that in our area.
Inching closer to justice, this town now feels a sense of closure for its forever guardian angel. In Salem, Indiana, Connor Steffen, WHAS11, on your side.
Another woman has already been sentenced in connection to Cairo's death. Last November, Don Coleman pleaded guilty to helping Dijon Anderson kill Cairo and hide his body. Coleman was sentenced to 25 years in prison with 5 years of probation as part of her plea agreement, which she'll need to testify against Anderson in any criminal case related to Cairo's death. Next month will mark 1 year since 5 people were killed during a mass shooting at Old National Bank in Louisville. One of the victims, Josh Barrick, had worked there for less than a year when he died. Now, for the first time, his wife is opening up about life without him.
We were just kind of getting to this sweet spot where the kids were more self-sufficient and doing their own thing, and he and I had our time again. And it's so unfair to think about all that we were robbed of, and the kids too. We were supposed to have so much more time.
New this evening, Jessica Barrick is opening up about grief, family, and moving forward without the person she describes as the centerpiece of their family. You can see her interview right here on WHAS 11 tonight at 6 o'clock. Well, right now, police are trying to find the people responsible for a shootout in the heart of downtown Louisville. LMPD said just before 7:15 Sunday night, officers responded to reports of multiple people firing guns at one another in the middle of the street. That was on 2nd Street near the Omni Hotel. Police said the time they arrived, those involved had already fled in several cars. LMPD found no victims, but did say at least 3 cars were hit by gunfire. If you know anything about this case, you're asked to call them at 574 LMPD. A driver is charged with murder and DUI after a deadly crash near Iroquois Park. Police said a car ran a red light at the intersection of Southern Parkway and Taylor Boulevard. The driver crashed into another car with 2 people inside, and all 3 were taken to the hospital, where one of the victims died. 11 former St. Stephen Martyr Catholic school students are suing the Archdiocese of Louisville. The suit alleging the school ignored misconduct by a former teacher, Jordan Fouts, for years. He was arrested in February, charged with the distribution and possession of child pornography. An investigator said while he was employed at that school, he manipulated student photos into explicit images and shared them with undercover officers. According to the lawsuit, Fouts was known to have violent outbursts towards students, including throwing chairs and objects at them. It also alleged Fouts had an inappropriate relationship with an 8th grader, but the school placed restrictions on the student instead of looking into Fouts. The students are accusing the school of negligence and failing in its duty to report. Metro Council members will hear final arguments today as they decide whether or not to remove Anthony Piagentini for ethics violations. Piagentini's attorneys rested their case last week. The councilman is accused of using his public office to leverage a new job at the Louisville Healthcare CEO Council. One of the final witnesses was Rick Remmers, a senior advisor for the CEOC. In his testimony, Remmers revealed Piagentini no longer works for the company.
And is Mr. Piagentini still working for the CEOC?
No, it was a 1-year contract.
Piagentini co-sponsored an ordinance to secure the CEOC $40 million in grant funding, only to recuse himself from the final vote, and then took a job with that company days later. He was later found guilty of ethics violations. Now 18 yes votes from Metro Council members are needed to remove him. We'll be at the council court when it resumes today at 3 o'clock.